Roadshow News Recap starts right now. Our top story this week, the Acura NSX. We're getting a special edition model as this hybrid supercar drives off into the sunset. There's some interesting Toyota news. A larger Highlander SUV may be in the works, and one of this company's best models may actually be going out of production next year. Stick around for that. The Ford Maverick hybrid could be in short supply. You may not find this little truck at dealerships come fall when it goes on sale. And then President Biden has signed another EV-related executive order. So helping us get to the bottom of all these stories and a whole lot more is Roadshow news editor, the inimitable Szymkowski.
That was quite an introduction, Craig. Thank you very much. Welcome to the show, everybody. Glad to be here. You're watching this on Friday or over the weekend, but we've actually had our chat on Thursday. Craig, Evan, and I, we're all off tomorrow, so we're just taking a day. We will be back next week live, so come chat with us live next week, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific time. We miss you guys. We don't have a lot of friends, so it'd be great if you'd come and hang out with us live next week. But please, as always, like, subscribe, ring that bell, because we also appreciate that. I have no idea what those things actually do in the YouTube tubes and whatnot, but we appreciate it because our bosses tell us we need to tell you to do that.
Yeah, whether you do it or not is another story, but we did our part by telling you to. And of course, since this is pre-recorded, feel free to leave a comment. We still do read those, of course. So leave a kind comment or a hurtful one. We have thick skin. We can take it. So,
yes, we'll take anything we can get. We appreciate it. But we're gonna dive right into the good stuff now. And the big thing of this week, by far, was the Acura NSX Type S. This is a high performance version of the NSX that has been on the market since 2000. It debuted in 2015. The sad part of this news is, Craig, is this Type S model means it's the end of the road for the NSX. I don't know how you feel about that.
It's sad. Everybody, I mean, the NSX is a very good car. I wouldn't necessarily want to own one if I had the money, but that doesn't mean it's a bad vehicle at all. It's very quick. It's fun to drive. It has, of course, all-wheel drive. So it works well in multiple seasons. You can have one and enjoy it if there happens to be snow on the ground where you live. I don't know that I would take an NSX over a Porsche 911 or something like that, or an Aston Martin or something, but it's still a very good car, and I'll be sad to see it go. You're a Honda enthusiast, Sean. What's your take?
I'm big on my Hondas, and I don't think the NSX ever really did what the original one did. It never really got to that same level of, I don't know what you want to call, I can't think of a good word for it, but it just never quite reached the same heights. I actually think it's a fantastic looking car. I think when the car was first revealed, the design was a little boring. And now I think it actually aged stupendously well. Like looking at these teaser shots that Acura has given us, I think they look really good. And I think the car has just aged really well. But I'm sad to see it go, because it's always nice to have, a Honda Acura performance vehicle around. And who knows if we'll ever get something like this again, just because Honda, like basically every other automaker, they are just marching to the electric vehicle drumbeat, because that's just kind of what's happening in the industry. So this may be
these days.
Right. Yeah. It just may be the end of the line. But regardless, we're excited to see it.
Absolutely. It should debut, I believe, next week, supposedly at Monterey Car Week for the Type S here. So we'll look forward to seeing that. And of course, sharing more info once we have it. I wouldn't expect too many changes from the Type S. It should have the same twin turbo 3.5 liter V6, throw in a few electric motors, though Honda does say more power and quicker acceleration. So hard to argue with that, assuming they're going to turn up the wick on this vehicle. But just to back up for a second, Sean, you had mentioned something a moment ago about this current NSX not quite living up to the original NSX, which everybody seems to just worship the original NSX because it is a very cool car. What do you think Honda could have done to make this reborn NSX sort of meet or exceed the original? What's it lacking?
That's a really good question. And to be honest, I know you just thought of that question on the spot, so I don't have a really good answer right on the spot.
Yeah.
I don't know, because I have to say, I I understand what Acura wanted to do with this NSX. It was bringing that formula into the modern era, with it being, having a hybrid system, and it's like it ticks all the boxes for like a modern Halo vehicle. I don't know if I can actually put my finger on what it's missing, because it seems to do everything you want it to do, and it does kind of feel like you're getting those supercar numbers for much less money, which that's what the original NSX did anyway. I don't know if it's just the fact that the original NSX came out in like the Honda Acura golden days, where like we look back on all of those vehicles from that time period, and we're just like, they're wonderful, amazing. It's hard to find anybody who's just like, oh, those cars are terrible cars. Like, even if you don't like the cars, like they're not terrible cars. They were genuinely good cars, even if you don't care for them, if that's your opinion. So I don't have a good answer, because I just don't know. I don't know.
Is it the lack of a manual transmission? Because the original NSX was very much a driver's car, right? Rear or mid-mounted engine, whatever. It's behind the driver. Manual transmission, and very, purposeful, focused on driving. And I'm sure the new NSX beats the original performance-wise in every measurable metric, but still it's missing that magic probably, right? And I wonder if that's the manual transmission.
It might be. I think that's definitely possible. The more I was just thinking about it as you were just, talking and bringing that up, I wonder if it has to do something just with the powertrain, because the NSX did amazing things with its V6 engine back then. I mean, it was just like incredible what Honda was able to do and engineer out of that car. And I believe that car did introduce VTEC, if I'm not mistaken, before it started to trickle down into other Acuras and then eventually Honda vehicles. So it was a technological masterpiece for Honda and Acura. And I mean, maybe this powertrain just, it's not a bad powertrain and it makes sense, but maybe it just doesn't have that wow factor. I don't know. I don't know. I think it'll be a car that people didn't care for in the moment, and in another 20 years, people are going to be like snapping them up left and right, because it'll be something so like, what's that thing, like art is never appreciated when the artist is alive, and then once they're dead and gone, then all of a sudden everyone wants the piece of artwork. Like, I feel like the NSX, especially the Type S, could be that.
Yeah, totally. So they're planning on building 350 of these new NSX Type S models, of which 300 will be sold in America. So we're getting the vast majority of those cars, which is not a surprise. Basically. So if you want an NSX, you don't have one yet, you might want to consider buying one sooner rather than later. If you do wait a little bit, of course, the NSX Type S will be coming out relatively soon. So be on the lookout for that. But in other Japanese motor vehicle news, Toyota had some interesting stuff go down this week. A report from our friends over at Automotive News indicates that a larger Highlander crossover is in the works, and supposedly they might be calling it the Grand Highlander, because that was what was filed on an application apparently last December. What'd you say, Sean? Terrible name?
Terrible name. Yes.
What would you rather call it? The Highlander L, the Highlander XL, the Highlander Max?
I don't know. Just, that's such a silly name. I just think it's a bad name.
But like tons of automakers use Grand in vehicle name. There's Grand Cherokee, Grand Caravan, Grand Marquis. There's the Grand C-Max that Ford used to make. There's the Renault Grand Scenic. And I say they're just a grand name. So what's wrong with Toyota trumping things up a little bit? Look at all these grand vehicles. It's
Wow,
just
yeah,
grand.
I wasn't expecting that, and we need to give Evan a raise because he good job at finding those photos. There was some obscure vehicles in there to say the least, so good job. But I
What's
don't know. I
obscure
just
about a
think
Grand Cherokee? No.
I was thinking more like the C Max that you tossed out there.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, just a little obscure. Yeah, there it is again. Looks like it's
Weird
kind of
looking thing.
melting back there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's frowning. It's a sad car.
I real big off ramp, but like, was that based on a Mazda? Like, I feel like I see some Mazda back there on those taillights. Probably not. I have no idea about that vehicle, and we're
It's
not
probably
talking
the
about
C
that vehicle.
architecture. No, we're not. If just to your point, I think it was built on Ford's C architecture, like the Focus, if I remember correctly.
Ah,
But
okay,
audience, if you're watching
gotcha.
this, leave a comment to correct me because I am, per usual, I'm probably wrong. So
Yeah, yell at Craig in the comments. I give you permission. It's okay.
yeah,
But don't say mean things. Just yell at him like kindly. Be like,
you
"You
can say
look
mean
great,
things too.
man."
I have tough, leathery
uh,
skin and broad shoulders.
well, there you go. That's what his Tinder profile says, at least. So, uh, so the Grand
But
Highlander.
yes,
I don't.
yes.
I don't think it's a very good name, but that's okay because if Toyota does build this vehicle, they will probably sell more of them that could pay my house off a million times over. So what this report is saying, this forecast and the crystal ball over at Automotive News, they're saying that this will essentially be a longer, perhaps a little bit wider Toyota Highlander that focuses on third row passengers. So if you're stuffing like your aunt and uncle in there, if you're picking up like the family from the airport or something, and you got to put people in the third row, they'll be super happy in a Grand Highlander because they'll probably have like 3 or 4 more inches of legroom. And that's good for when you're getting off basic economy on United and you just want to sprawl out. So, I mean, like the marketing pitch writes itself. I understand why Toyota wants to do this. But kidding aside, there are people who want extra legroom in a third row for children, or if they just have large families and you're hauling other adults places. And I will say, like, there's a vehicle that does do all of this better, and it's called the Toyota Sienna, but people don't want minivans as much anymore. So a Grand Highlander it is. And that's where that
Then
stands.
they can just put sliding doors on it and hybrid only powertrain, and then there you go.
Then you got the Grand Sienna. So here we go. Something like that. But yeah, aside from this forecast, we did see this trademark application pop up last December. So Toyota is interested in this name. When I attempted to reach out to Toyota and ask if they wanted to talk about this, they declined to comment. That is not surprising because automakers don't like talking about anything that could be potential future product.
What a surprise.
Indeed.
But there's more Toyota news, Sean. Sounds like
there
a core
is.
model in their lineup is going away, if a report is to be believed.
Yes, and this is the Toyota Avalon. And this report, hot on the heels of Grand Highlander, it's saying it's going to be dead because no one wants to buy sedans anymore. And well, I guess Toyota sells quite a few Camrys, but not nearly as many Avalons. So the Avalon might be getting the cut. Automotive News, again, is the one reporting this for the 2022 model year. They're saying it's going to be off the menu at Toyota dealerships. There was, again, no comment from the automaker. They haven't made this official. But if this is the case, and it probably is the case, you're going to have to look at like a Chrysler 300 or a Nissan Maxima if you want like a proper full-size sedan, because it's really becoming slim pickings out there, Craig.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And, you know, it's funny. I think what happened is they went way over budget on the grill, so they can't afford to keep this Avalon in production. That's my hypothesis. That's a lot of grill. I mean, look at it. It's the whole front end of the car.
Yeah, it's like it's weird. Like I think that grill, if it works anywhere on the Avalon, it's the TRD model. It doesn't look bad because I think it starts to look like a Lexus and like the Lexus spindle grill, and that grill has grown on me. But in the basic Avalon that we're seeing here, that's not that good.
It's just the whole front end is grill. It's like, just slow your roll, folks. You don't need that much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sad too. I like the Avalon is one of the only Toyotas that I truly, really do like and would consider driving, because like nobody buys a Toyota because they're fun or because they're stylish. They buy their Toyotas because they're built to last generations and they have excellent resale value and they're very safe and fuel efficient. They're not like a passion brand. And not that I'm not saying the Avalon is a passionate vehicle, but it's an excellent four-door. It's very comfortable. It drives well. It's smooth. It's quiet. With the hybrid drivetrain, it's super efficient. So it does a lot of things well. I have no ill will for the Avalon. I reviewed one a month or two ago. Loved it. So I will be sad to see it go. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, it got kind of a bad reputation as like an old person's car, kind of thing. But I mean, honestly, if you're just looking for a comfortable set of wheels, I bet you could get a pretty good deal on an Avalon, even amid like car inventory shortages, because like they're probably just sitting there anyway. Like no one's ordering a Toyota Avalon. They're not like, yeah, shut up and take my money. I need this Avalon right now. I haven't heard any stories that.
We got 47 on the lot. What color do you want? Like every trim every trim and color combo.
Unfortunately, the colors on the lot are probably beige, silver, black, white, pearlescent pearl stone, beige, banana, cream, something like there
Desert
wasn't a whole lot of
mica.
A lot of spice going on with those colors typically. But
Sean,
that is sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, you have newfound respect for comfortable cars based on a recent purchase you made. Speaking of Avalons, it's not an Avalon, but it kind of is.
It's not an Avalon because it was actually still directly related to the Camry at the time, but I picked up a 2001 Lexus ES 300 to just, putz around town with when I need a personal vehicle. Yeah. Exactly. I wanted like a front wheel drive tank and that car, when you're driving around and with it, I'm like, it feels like there's like 8 elephants sitting on the hood of this car as I'm like turning the wheel.
Yeah. There's not a lot of crispness there, but hey, it's comfortable. It's smooth. It won't inflame your hemorrhoids if you happen to have those. So,
and the heated leather seats, which came with this coach edition. It's a coach edition, everybody. Ooh. Very fancy. Very, very fancy. I'm jesting. I have no ego. The heated seats could also help dull that pain away if that is a problem.
That's true. That is true. Might be some pain if you're shopping for a Ford Maverick this fall. The compact truck sounds like it's going to be super popular. And rumor has it, courtesy of the Maverick Truck Forum, rumor has it all of the hybrid model versions of the Maverick that Ford will be producing will be allocated to existing customer orders. So what that means is basically, if this rumor is true, you will not be able to go to a Ford dealer, at least immediately when the truck goes on sale. You'll not be able to go to a Ford dealer and test drive or sit in a hybrid Maverick because they will all go directly to customers that have pre-ordered, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, it's an interesting decision. I mean, I get it. I spoke with a Ford representative about this decision, and they said it in a way where they're like, we plan on having some stock at dealers for people to like check out, but they didn't actually say like, they could buy them. So really, it sounds like if you want the hybrid powertrain in the Maverick, which in my opinion is like a very fantastic selling point about this little truck, then you're going to have to actually put an order in, like reserve one right now, and then get in line with I think Ford actually said just the other day, they have about 80,000 reservations between the 2-liter and the 2.5. Yeah. It was just in their July sales report, they said approximately 80,000 reservations for this thing now.
I mean, that's phenomenal for them. I mean, it's obviously sort of a new segment, not a new segment, but the rebirth of a segment, a compact truck. And when you look at F-150s, when you can spend 70 grand or more on one of those things. What normal person can afford that? So it's great to see this compact truck that you can get for, 21, 22 grand with destination fees. Comes with a standard hybrid drivetrain, like 40 miles per gallon. Like, it's kind of a no-brainer for a lot of people. You could get a Civic or you could get this truck.
Yeah. Again, we've talked about this before, that it just seems like such a smart move. It not only feels like a car that people can actually afford with its starting price, even if you bump into a higher trim, it's still going to be like $25,000, which, okay, you're in Corolla Civic territory. And by the way, you're also in gently used vehicle territory. Like if you're looking at like a 3-year-old car, those prices just crossed the $25,000 mark on average for the first time in history, because of car shortages and people needing vehicles, turning to used vehicles, which is just jacking used vehicle prices up. Specifically, newer used vehicles, which can still have a lot of technology, comforts, and modern engineering that even if that you plan on driving them for over 100,000 miles, research is showing that cars are lasting longer. So of course they're going to be more valuable than a 1985 Cutlass Sierra or something like that. What's funny about an Oldsmobile, Craig? I don't get it.
Did you know I think there are only, well, because music a lot, there are exactly two songs that are written about Oldsmobiles. It's a fun fact for you.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to ask me to name them.
Well, can you?
Yeah. There's one about the Rocket 88 engine, I believe, is one.
Yes. I love that song.
Yeah. I don't know the other one by chance, but while Craig's looking up Oldsmobile facts.
I am. Yes, it's In My Merry Oldsmobile. It's from 1905. So you can listen to that on wax cylinder while you're cruising along the highway in your curved dash Olds doing like 3 miles an hour.
Well, there you go. I mean, everyone has to have a hobby. But in terms of the Maverick, in terms of the Maverick, I believe what this dealer source was saying on the forum was Ford may have overestimated how popular the hybrid was going to be, and their production mix is more for the 2-liter turbo. And that one is where you can get all-wheel drive. So I think maybe they were thinking like most people will probably want all-wheel drive for the pickup truck. People, boo it or love it, whatever. Like it is a front-wheel drive vehicle standard, but it is still classified as a pickup truck. But so we'll see how Ford rectifies that.
Here's the thing, front-wheel drive is perfectly fine for probably 90% of pickup truck customers. Because you know why? You just get a set of snow tires and you'll be perfectly fine. Assuming you're not going down the Rubicon Trail or something. But you get a set of snow tires. If you live in a climate where you get ice and snow and stuff, I promise you will be fine.
Yeah, I've driven plenty of rear-wheel drive vehicles in the snow with snow tires, and there's no issue. I had no issue at all. Maybe once or twice, but you feel kind of unstoppable with a proper set of snow tires on rather than some all seasons.
No season is more like it.
Yeah, it's just kind of in the middle. It's just like generic tire, who knows? Yeah. But anyway, with the Maverick, when the vehicle does launch this fall, it could be a little bit hard to find for that hybrid powertrain. Sounds like Ford's going to be stocking the 2 liters more. If you really want a hybrid, it kind of sounds like they're saying you should go reserve one and get on the list for a customer order. Again, it does go on sale this fall, and it still starts at less than $22,000, and that includes the $1,500 destination charge. So,
deal of the century.
Yeah, it seriously does. Seriously does feel like a great deal. But flipping gears away from hybrids and 2-liter turbos is an electric vehicle executive order that President
Ooh.
Biden is signing today, and that's Thursday because we are not here on Friday. So by the time y'all are seeing this, the president will have signed an executive order that it targets a goal of 50% EV sales by 2030. That sounds
Now, is that
like
pure EV, Sean, or does that include plugins and other electrified vehicles?
this includes pure battery electric vehicles, plug-in hybrids, and fuel cell vehicles. Electrified vehicles are not included in this language that I've seen so far, unless they come out and say something different. But we have some fact
Gotcha.
sheets from the White House and other statements from automakers, but that's what this says so far. But my point that I was just going to make is, and we bring these stories into the show not because this is a political show. This is not at all. It's merely because, and this is my point, this is ginormous for U.S. auto manufacturing. Essentially, what the Biden administration wants to do is set the EV sector up for success. Part of the bipartisan infrastructure bill that is working its way through Congress includes billions of dollars for a nationwide charging network. So just like your Shell station, BP, whoever you have, Exxon by you, dotted everywhere as you're driving on the interstate highway system and right off on the off ramps, there's going to be charging stations if this bill does get passed, and it sounds like it will. So it's laying the groundwork so that by the time 2030 rolls around, automakers have oodles of EVs to sell people, and people actually have a place to charge them and don't feel like it's a hassle to look at an EV. And it really is just a substantial, maybe we'll look back at this and be like, wow, this was really when the tide changed for EVs.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you have the most powerful person in the world, leader of the free world, saying like, this is the goal, and you have General Motors, Ford, Stellantis, BMW, Volkswagen, Honda, Volvo, Hyundai have all come out and said, we're on board. That's huge.
Mm-hmm. I've heard of some of those companies too. I have.
Yeah.
It's true.
Have you? Yeah. That's
yes.
good. That's really good. I'm glad. I think you've driven a couple of cars that those companies make too.
Yeah, right. So it'll be great. I mean, that's the goal, like to make owning an EV as easy as it is to have a combustion powered vehicle. I mean, to your point, Sean, practically every off ramp on the highway, there's a gas station or four. And if you have, charging stations at each of those gas stations, suddenly EV ownership becomes a lot easier.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just a matter of fact that right now that unless you own a Tesla, and even if you do own a Tesla with the supercharger network, there's a little bit more planning involved when you're taking a road trip in an electric vehicle to make sure that there is that Tesla supercharger there, or there is that, EV Go station, or whoever you like to charge your, non-Tesla EV with. But if you can get rid of that factor where you don't have to think about when you're driving, 2 states over, no matter where you are, like you're going to find a gas station. Like it's basically guaranteed, unless you're like really in the heart of America and there's just corn or something. I don't know.
Or you're in Wyoming. That's funny. I took a road trip with some friends 10 years ago or so, and we went to Yellowstone Park, and we were driving in a Lincoln MKT that Lincoln loaned us. And it was funny. We were in Wyoming and we're driving, and we're down to like, 3/8 of a tank, a quarter tank of gas, whatever. It's like, okay, it's time to start looking for a place to get fuel. So we punch into the sync system, my Ford Touch, whatever, nearest gas station. Okay, it routes us to a gas station wherever it is, 50 miles up the road or something. Okay, no big deal. So we navigate to this gas station. I'm making quotes now, gas station, and we get there and there's nothing there at all. It's just an empty parking lot. Like, okay, that's concerning. And then we try to route to the next gas station. It routes us to 40 miles back down the road. And we're like, Okay, well, that's a little bit odd, but surely the system knows better than we do. So we follow the system again and go back down the road to another place where there's nothing, another empty parking lot. And now we're getting concerned because fuel reserves are getting a little bit low. So we punch in another address and it takes us back in the other direction. It's like, okay, what the hell's going on? So eventually we found a place where a gas station was supposed to be, and we called a number at another building, and we found out, oh, that's another 5 miles up the road because they moved it or something. Okay, fine. So we start navigating to that address, and we get to the gas station. Finally, there was a gas station. We get there, and it's closed. It's like 7 a.m. It doesn't open until like 10 a.m. or something. And we pull up to the gate, and literally as I roll up to the gate and put the vehicle in park, the estimated miles to empty hits 0. Literally, I'm not making that up. Of course, we drove like 100 miles. Are you? You have no idea. You talk about rapidly manufacturing a stack of bricks in your trousers. That's the time it happens. So yes, once EV stations are more available, chargers are everywhere, you'll be able to own an EV and not soil yourself. Hopefully. I'm going to get off my soapbox now.
That's the goal.
Yeah. But Sean, I think we're going to call it now, my friend. That should just about do it for the show this week.
Yep,
So,
I think that's
thank
the
you
end.
as always.
That's all we have to chat. Oh yeah, you know it. Always glad to be here. Awesome chatting as always. Yep. Thank you so much for watching. In the future, you'll be seeing this in the future. Wild stuff, I know.
It's like time travel or something. I don't know. Whatever. Sean, thank you so much. And of course, we have to thank our video producer, Evan Miller, and our other video producer, Brad, who helped with this show this week. And please, that is just Brad. He doesn't need the government all up in his business, looking at his offshore bank accounts or accusing him of racketeering, smuggling, or securities fraud. Again, so that's just video producer Brad. Anyway, and of course, we've got to thank you for watching Roadshow News Recap, where we dissect and discuss the most important car-related stories of the past week. You can join us for the live broadcast of this show most Fridays at 3 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Roadshow News YouTube channel, or of course on Facebook as well. Anyway, thank you so very much for watching. Leave a question, leave a comment. We love hearing from you guys, and have a great weekend.